As we all know, the situation at Windermere reached a boiling point, culminating in a violent confrontation that seemingly left Ross Cullum dead and Cassius Phazon taking the ultimate fall. The official narrative being pushed right now is incredibly neat, almost too perfect. We are being led to believe that the book is completely closed on this dark chapter. But insider buzz suggests that a massive secret is being kept under wraps, a hidden agenda that someone at the very top of the WSB is desperately trying to conceal from the residents of Port Charles. There may be more going on here than a simple cover-up, and the silence from the network regarding certain cast members is becoming deafening. Everyone assumes that Cassius Phazon is dead and gone. Most viewers believe that he met his grim fate on that island and that his story has reached a tragic, definitive end. The obvious explanation seems to be exactly what we were shown. Jocelyn Jacks made a secret, high-stakes deal with WSB director Z to secure the freedom of Jason Morgan and Valentine Cassadine. In exchange, the WSB needed a scapegoat to take the fall for all of Ross Cullum's heinous crimes, including the murder of Marco Rios. Since Cassius was reportedly deceased, he became the perfect patsy. We have watched the devastating emotional fallout ripple through Port Charles. We saw Liesl Obrecht completely shattered, mourning the loss of the man she desperately tried to protect. We watched Lulu Spencer reel in absolute disgust, feeling deeply violated upon realizing that the man in her bed was an imposter and not her beloved Nathan West. And perhaps most heartbreaking of all, we witnessed Cody Bell having to sit down with little James West to explain the convoluted twin swap, breaking the poor boy's heart as he realized his final goodbye was with a fraud who is now dead. The audience has accepted this tragic ending because the emotional beats hit so hard. What if that wasn't the real reason for the WSB's elaborate cover-up? What if someone planned this entire narrative to hide a much bigger truth? Think about it. We never saw a definitive, undeniable confirmation of Cassius taking his last breath. What if we're looking at this the wrong way? Z is a master manipulator, a man who plays three-dimensional chess while everyone else is playing checkers. The unconfirmed information circulating right now suggests that Z did not let Cassius die on Spoon Island. Instead, after the gunfire ceased and the chaos settled, Z might have checked Cassius' pulse and found a faint heartbeat. Rather than calling for Port Charles paramedics or allowing the local authorities to process the scene, Z orchestrated a highly classified medical extraction. The rumor is that Cassius was secretly transported away in the dead of night to a top-tier, heavily guarded WSB black site. This wouldn't just be a standard prison facility. This would be a state-of-the-art medical installation where the agency treats its most valuable strategic assets and top-tier operatives away from the prying eyes of the public. If this behind-the-scenes possibility is true, Cassius is currently undergoing intensive, classified medical treatment, completely hidden from Port Charles and everyone who is mourning him. But why would Z go to such extreme lengths to fake a man's death and hide him away? That brings us to a few fascinating possibilities. Because with the WSB, there is never just one motive. That's one possibility. But let's break down exactly how this could play out. Because I have been mapping out multiple scenarios that could completely change the landscape of the show. Scenario 1 revolves around the Ultimate Witness Protection Program. Right now, Jen Sidwell is still out there, a dangerous fugitive who managed to escape justice. While Ross Cullum is presumed dead, Sidwell is the remaining half of that deadly alliance. Sidwell is a survivor, and he will undoubtedly keep his mouth shut to protect himself from international prosecution. Z needs a smoking gun to permanently dismantle Sidwell's criminal empire and fully expose the depth of the corruption. Cassius Phazon is the only surviving person who knows the intimate details of Cullum and Sidwell's operations, including the dangerous cold fusion prototype. By keeping Cassius alive and hidden, Z is preserving his star witness. Once Cassius is fully recovered, Z can use him to testify in a closed-door international tribunal, completely bypassing the Port Charles justice system and ensuring Sidwell goes away forever. Scenario 2 is where things get incredibly exciting for longtime fans. We already know that Jason Morgan took the fall for Rocco Falconeri shooting Ross Cullum on the pier, and as a result, Jason was taken to a secret WSB location. What if the facility where Jason is being held is the exact same medical black site where Z took Cassius? This insider buzz suggests that General Hospital is quietly laying the groundwork for a massive double-barreled comeback. We know Steve Burton is making his highly anticipated return as Jason Morgan in the monumental 16,000th episode in mid-July. If Cassius is recovering in the cell right next to Jason, we could be looking at a synchronized return. Imagine the shockwaves if Jason Morgan walks back into Port Charles and right behind him is a fully healed Cassius Faison. The network hasn't officially confirmed Ryan Paevey's departure, and this strategic silence might be the biggest clue that a massive midsummer surprise is currently being filmed. Scenario 3 takes this concept even further into the espionage genre. What if Z isn't just holding them? What if he is recruiting them? Both Jason Morgan and Cassius Faison possess incredibly unique skill sets that the WSB desperately needs right now. Jason has unparalleled tactical experience, and Cassius has deep ties to the criminal underworld and an understanding of Caesar Faison's legacy. What if Z offers them both a clean slate, but only if they agree to become off-the-books, deep-cover WSB operatives? They would return to Port Charles not as civilians, but as ghosts working in the shadows. Their new mission would be to monitor lingering threats, track down Jen Sidwell's remaining loyalists, and neutralize any dangers before they ever reach the city limits. This would perfectly explain why Z had to publicly declare Cassius dead and use him as a scapegoat. A dead man makes the perfect invisible spy. I keep wondering whether the writers are brave enough to pull the trigger on the most dangerous possibility of all. Everything we have discussed so far assumes that Cassius is exactly who he claims to be, the secret twin brother of Nathan West. But another theory is starting to make the rounds, and if you ask me, it is absolutely haunting. What if Z eventually orders his recovering patient to drop the Cassius Act entirely? What if the man recovering in that WSB black site, the man who slept with Lulu and said a tearful goodbye to James, is actually the real Nathan West? Think about the psychological warfare the WSB and rogue agents like Ross Cullum are capable of. General Hospital has a rich history of memory mapping, brainwashing, and mind control. What if Ross Cullum captured Nathan West years ago and subjected him to intense psychological torture? Cullum could have systematically erased Nathan's true memories, implanting a fabricated identity. He brainwashed Nathan into believing he was an evil imposter twin named Cassius. This Cassius persona wasn't a real person. It was a psychological prison. A shell created by Cullum to completely control Nathan and force him to do the WSB's dirty work without question. Every time Cassius felt a strange, undeniable pull towards Lulu or a deep protective instinct over little James, it wasn't the twin bond, it was Nathan's true soul desperately trying to break through the programming. Now that Ross Cullum is dead, the psychological grip he held over his victim is finally broken. Without Cullum actively reinforcing the mind control, the Cassius programming will begin to fracture. As he recovers in that secret WSB facility, the real memories will start flooding back. He will remember Maxie, he will remember his true love for his family, and he will realize the horrific extent of what Cullum forced him to do. If the show goes down this path, it completely recontextualizes the last few months of storytelling. It wasn't a cruel imposter violating Lulu's trust. It was a deeply traumatized Nathan trapped in his own mind, crying out for help. It transforms a story of deception into a profound tragedy of survival and manipulation. A twist of this magnitude would shatter Port Charles, forcing everyone from Liesel to Lulu to Maxie to confront the fact that the man they loved was right in front of them, suffering in silence under a stolen identity. There may be more going on here than anyone realizes. As of right now, all of this remains unconfirmed speculation. The studio is keeping everything locked down tight, and we have no official press releases confirming or denying Ryan Paevey's long-term status on the show. But that deliberate ambiguity is exactly what fuels the fire. Z is hiding something massive. Jason Morgan's return is looming on the horizon, and the loose ends on Spoon Island are far too messy to simply be swept under the rug. Could Cassius be alive? Could he return alongside Jason as a shadow operative? Or could we be on the verge of discovering that Nathan West never truly died, but was instead locked inside his own mind by a sadistic WSB agent? It could happen. It might not. But something about this feels hidden. And I can guarantee you, the story of what really happened on Spoon Island is far from over. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And keep your eyes peeled. Because the truth always has a way of leaking out eventually.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.